Hey folks, how you doing out there? Darren Scorza here with another Drinking and a Wink info review. That was a slip because of slip. It was a slip because of sip. Drinking and a Wink info review. How you doing? Michelle's whistling. 10 seconds in, we know we're off to a good start. Hey, I wanted to come at you quickly today. Sunday night, Michelle and I just had a nice little dinner, some Mexican food. But recently, last couple days, actually I heard about it like maybe 2 weeks ago. Our favorite DeKalb distillery. I know I've talked about it a lot. Oh shoot, you know what? 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. Go ahead, Michelle.
How about that hot weather today? I hope everyone's staying very cool and not sunburned, and you had a very nice day. And our first hot spell of 2025.
All right, here we're back. We're going to talk about some whiskey from Whiskey Acres. As you know, Whiskey Acres, DeKalb, Illinois. I've talked about it many, many times. My head got bigger, or the hat shrunk. All right. Actually, I know what it was. What's going on here? Whiskey Acres, DeKalb, Illinois, but this is getting off to a roaring start. One of my favorite kind of recent finds, if that means in the last 3 or 4 years, is the Whiskey Acres Distillery out in DeKalb. I've talked about it many, many, many times. They're a seed to spirit distillery. It's putting all kinds of good stuff. They have a straight bourbon, straight rye, bottled and bound bourbon, bottled and bound rye is their core range. Then they do some other things in their, let's say, seasonal series where they'll do a Bloody Butcher, which is a different kind of corn that they use, etc. Then, along with other things, maybe a couple years ago, I can't remember when that was. I think we're going on 2 years on the anniversary of that. Might have been 3. They put out the 7-year-old, as they have, a relatively new distillery. They put out their 7, and now I've also been finding these other interesting things for Whiskey Acres, but check them out, and that would be their cask finished series. Okay, these are a little harder to find because they are really mostly geared toward a distillery release, and then they will give a certain allocation to a limited amount of different retailers. Benny's being one of them, but some of the other kind of retailers that could be liquor stores, or even kind of like those, kind of all around encompassing mini marts out in the western suburbs, northwest Illinois. You might find Whiskey Acres products there, but still finding the cash finish series there is a little harder to find. So that's why I'm coming today, because these were not going to be on the shelves for that much longer. I bought mine at Benny's. The recent one, or one I bought, I don't know when I bought this. Maybe around my birthday or something like that. Something of that nature. I think it was Christmas. Was this rye that's finished in Tokai casks. But the newest one is a what they call their Cigar Blend. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit. There's a lot of information here. This is Whiskey Acres Distillery Cask Finish Series. This is a Cigar Blend, which is bourbon whiskey finished in PX Sherry, Calvados, and Pineau Des Charentes. I took 2 years of French. I should be doing Pineau des Charentes casks. Okay, so they're finishing in these fancy casks, sherry casks, and some other. I think that is I don't know if there's anything particular Pinot about that. If I don't think it's a fortified wine. I think it's just maybe I'm wrong, but that's what they're doing. They're finishing in those. Supposedly this is 4 to 8 year old whiskey. They don't have whiskey that's much older than that, depending or because of how long they've been around. But they're taking a 4 to 8 year bourbon and then finishing them in these casks. To what time, I don't know. One of the things that you should note is when you have a cask series finish like this, okay, you could call this a rye and then talk about it finishing. Bourbon's a little different, so they cannot put on here Cigar Blend bourbon. Okay, it has to say Cigar Blend bourbon whiskey finished in PX sherry. So you have to say it's bourbon whiskey finished, not this is bourbon. Because once you do this in anything other than a new oak barrels, you're breaking the rules of the bourbon. So you can't say this is a bourbon. This cannot be classified as a straight bourbon. It's a finished bourbon. So there you go. A little bit about the nomenclature here. This is bottled at 52.5%. Batch at number 009. I got just a little bit of a sale. Our Benny's here, I was checking around, I would say only 1/3 of the Benny's stores in all of Illinois still have some in stock. I might be a little off on that. If what I tell you here interests you, check it out. Other things they've done in this series, this cask finish series, is they also had a maple syrup bourbon. Bourbon finished in maple syrup casks. That was very, very good. A little sweet for my taste, but we bought a half bottle, I remember, at the distillery, and it's not on the shelf anymore. So we did enjoy it. This, though, is just... This is intriguing. Like I said, look at that. The color on it. Really nice and rich. Non-chill filtered. I think this might be the first time... Maybe I'm wrong. I think that is... Nope, it's on there too. Okay. I don't know if that's for all of their whiskeys. I'd have to check on the other bottles. That's the first time I ever noticed that this one and the other one in the Artisan series is non-chill filtered. We like that. On the nose... This reminds me of the... there is nothing related to a Buffalo Trace profile on this. And I would say that about their regular bourbons. But here, I'm getting... Let's talk about Cigar Blend before I start getting into it a little more. So Cigar Blend is kind of an interesting term. Cigar blends are, in America, it has been kind of noted that you would have bourbon and you'd finish in like, why am I blinking? Armagnac and what's the cognac. I'm sorry. You'd finish in cognac and Armagnac casks, a bourbon like that. Other Scotch whiskey, when they're doing cigar blends, they might use that. They might also just really heavy and varied sherry flavors. It has a darker fruit flavor, a little bit of some kind of like a charred note, and then there is a leathery quality that I think I get in anything that's finished in sherry casks, especially the Calvados. Especially PX sherry, which stands for Pedro Jimenez. So this is for my money, this is a single malt whiskey, but instead it's using their mash bill for their bourbon. So there's not, I don't know if there's any malted barley in that, but basically treated like a Scotch and finished in various sherry and wine casks. Really big, bold flavor on the front. It's like a good tasting cigar, but it's a little bit sweet. There's plenty of dark chocolate notes. Oak is coming through, but it just has a richer, not fresh oak flavor. Wow, this is very, very tasty. The finish here is really, really leathery. I mean, in a good way. Just meaty. Yeah, it just has all the things that. Sometimes these bourbons that are being finished could be just a hair too much. You know what I mean? It could the sherry cask or the whatever cask they're using can the influence can be overpowering, especially if they're using juicy casks. You know, and they're not supposed to actually contain sherry, but you know, if they were just, I don't know what, if they're still juicy, it's interesting. I'm gonna actually add a drop of water to this. For one, I want to see if that changes up the profile and knocks down the. If I can get sometimes with these finished whiskeys, especially bourbons and ryes, American whiskeys, sometimes I can kind of with a little bit of water get back to like the bourbon or the rye before it was finished a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't work. All right, getting a little bit of a stroll and roll here. Let's see. On the nose, the water has knocked down some of the sherry flavor. And as expected, it did knock down some of the finishing. Now I'm getting the more typical Whiskey Acres flavor, which I am a huge fan of. Some people are not a fan of this note that I get with all the Whiskey Acres that I have, and you can see I reorganize it. We got quite a few now. We've got on the shelf. We've got 3 bourbons plus this, and 2 ryes up there, and we've emptied a couple bottles otherwise. I used to say that this has kind of a yeasty note, a bready note. I'm going to change that. It has a slight pumpernickel flavor in all of their, to me. So it must be the combination of, I mean, obviously the grains they're using combined with maybe the yeast that they use that gives it this little dark pumpernickel or rye flavor. And I want to say rye because rye has that kind of savory caraway, pumpernickel. You know what pumpernickel tastes like. Boom, boom, boom. You know what pumpernickel. Take 2. You know what You know Peter Peck. You know what pumpernickel tastes like. Okay, it's been a long day, and there's always that note. The water added to this kind of bumped it up a little bit. Plus that 52.5%. I could knock it down a little bit and maybe taste a little more of the flavors from the grain and not so much of the alcohol burn. This is a delicious dram. I would kind of consider it more of a dessert dram. Or, after dinner when you're having your, guess what I'm going to say, cigar. And I only say that because it's a little bit, it's definitely light would not be the word. This is a real bold, big bourbon. I just don't think that would go as well with eating meats as, while you're eating. Then maybe something from Woodford or Buffalo Trace. After dinner, you want to get something that has big, nice pungent flavors, and you don't want to drink a cognac. I think actually cognac fans would love this. So if you're kind of on the fence about American whiskey and bourbons and ryes, but you're kind of into cognac or brandy, this would be for you. Overall, for me, this is a real crowd pleaser. It's not as, for my tastes, it's not quite as on the money for me as the rye cask that was in the Tokai, finished in Tokai barrels. That is one of the top 5 whiskeys that I own. I don't know what's going out on the limb. I'm not going to say that about this, but this is going to go fast. It just has a nice, big, bold flavor. If you are a fan of the really right down the middle, high corn content with rye and a little bit of malted barley mash bill that Buffalo Trace and some of the other companies do, this isn't going to be for you. This is a very special flavoring that really, if you like pina coladas, no, if you like some interesting flavors and you've got a little bit, you've got enough of your bourbon, you want to check out some different flavors, see what they can do with bourbon, what these different distilleries can do with bourbon with just a little bit of finishing. This one is right up on the list. I don't know what I've rated the cask finish series Tokai finish rye, but I'm going to give this 8.6. I like it that much. It's got some fruit, dark fruit, a little bit of leather, a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of earthy funk on the finish from all those different cask influences. I don't know if they were, first fill sherry casks or second or what, but there's enough interest. This is not all just a fruit bomb and tasting like a complete dessert whiskey. There's more to it than that. And like I said, I wanted to do a quick one here and just come out and say hello about it, and tell you about it, because I don't know if it's still at the Whiskey Acres Distillery, but if you have interest in this, it's going to be kind of 50-50 if you're going to look at Binny's, if they're going to have it, or if you're looking for it out. But again, I'll show you close up of the label one more time. It's also down. I posted just a picture shot in it a couple days ago. The Whiskey Acres. There's lots of stuff here. Cigar Blend. Okay, Artisan Series. Bourbon whiskey finished in PX Sherry, Calvados, and Pineau Des Charentes. Charentes. Oh, let's call the whole thing off. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out with me here for this little shorty, and looking forward to do some different things. 97 degrees, 98 degrees today. This one actually is not bad. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to drink bourbon. Like, I'm not going to drink a peated whiskey tonight. But this one, though, plenty of interest. On the nose, I'm getting more and more marshmallow and butterscotch. Let me see if it's on the taste. No, that marshmallow and butterscotch is on the nose, and then on the taste, it gets a little more, a little deeper, a little darker, a little more leathery. All right, great. Whiskey Acres is the place for me. What's the next line? Place for me. Farm living. Right, for me. Wait, is it? It can't be me. That is. Is it? Place? No. Me and me are different words. Oh my God. It's been a long day.